Welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching us today. We are in Boston, Massachusetts. We're meeting with some of the best and brightest companies in the area. And on our program today is Brough Turner. He's the founder and CTO of NetBlazr. Brough, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rich.
So you've got a very interesting company in that you're providing wireless server or wireless services to wireless broadband to companies. And I was hoping you'd tell us a little bit more about how that works.
Okay, well, you can think of us as a mesh network, except that those words have been used by a lot of other people for networks that don't actually work very well. The traditional network has been Wi-Fi hotspots with omnidirectional antennas all on the same channel and some fancy footwork in software so that they share time. That doesn't really work that well because each radio is interfering with the other radios. So what we have is, mathematically it is a mesh, but ours is a network of point-to-point links, router at every node. So even though we are wireless, it's almost as if we ran 100 megabit fast Ethernet cables between a bunch of routers. So each of our customers has a router, and then they have links in 3 directions. And the important thing is 1 or 2 of those links through a series of hops takes them back to a place where we get super low cost internet connectivity. And that's the key. In the United States, there's this incredible price difference between the internet backbone, which is competitive with dozens of companies like Level 3 and Cogent and AboveNet and Sideranet and so forth, and the local neighborhood where you're lucky if you have a duopoly. That price difference for businesses is even worse than it is for consumers. Sometimes it can be 30 times price difference for buildings that are 100 feet apart.
Wow.
So what we're doing is bridging that wirelessly. We start at buildings where we can get competitive fiber. Right now we're using Cogent. And we go wirelessly in this tight mesh network for an area of 6 or 8 blocks.
So you and I started out in the market, or at least I met you right around the time when, just even before voice over IP became popular.
Right.
I mean, you were working at NMS, and you made DSP resource boards, and then eventually those found their ways into gateways, right?
Yep.
And those gateways played the arbitrage game of very expensive telephony,
Right.
now riding over the internet, which became very inexpensive, and a lot of companies made money with the arbitrage of charging 7 cents a minute for something that someone used to pay 15 cents a minute for. And
Right.
so it sounds to me like you once again have found another arbitrage play where you are able to provide a service where someone used to have to pay a lot of money, like you said, a 30-time differential, but there is low-cost fiber nearby and wirelessly with relatively inexpensive hardware, you're able to bridge that divide and provide a service.
That's a good analogy. Arbitrage, an awful lot of startup businesses are basically looking for where is there a dysfunctional market, where is there something that I can make an order of magnitude improvement. And yes, there is a problem in the US and many countries that the access network is, and the middle mile are controlled by basically a monopoly or a duopoly, and the prices are inordinately high. So we're attempting to bridge that. We are different from most of, there are plenty of other people trying to be wireless internet service providers. We have a radically different business model. We're effectively a cooperative. Members buy their own gear, deploy it, stuff we specify, they deploy it the way we tell them to, but then they turn management over to us. So part of our price advantage is that we're a business that's organizing people to join a community and to manage a network on their behalf.
So it's not unlike, and I hate to keep using other analogies, but it's not unlike what Skype does, where they have nodes and supernodes, and right,
Exactly.
some of the Skype computers are more powerful or have more bandwidth, or both are able to function as supernodes to take on some larger responsibility in the network.
Every one of our nodes is part of this mesh. And some of the nodes are relaying a bunch of traffic. Some of them are out near the edge and doing only one person's traffic. Right. That can change over time. But everybody who joins the network contributes a certain amount of resource, and that's a one-time expense up front. Typically it's $300 worth of parts before you can join the network. But once you join, you can get either our free service or one of our super low-cost premium services. So Eric actually had a good name for it, not software as a service, but service as a service.
That's Eric Lanask, right?
Yeah.
He's
Head
of my editorial team.
Yeah. So we're providing a service as a service. We're really just writing software. Our customers own the hardware. We have software running in the cloud, and we have software running on equipment that our customers have contributed.
And now, the challenge is, in terms of your potential customer base, they generally would have to be located in areas like cities, right, where you can have some sort of line of sight?
Yeah. Our focus is absolutely on businesses initially in downtown urban areas. Of course, if you think about it, that's where the majority of businesses are. That's where the majority of people are.
Right.
So we are focused on urban areas. Longer term, we will go wherever we can get low-cost fiber backhaul. Recently, I was approached by some people about an industrial park in the middle of Massachusetts. There's a new fiber that's going to be going by the edge of the park, but the people in the park can't afford to have the fiber extended. If we take the NetBlazr model and just drop it in there, start at the place where we can get the fiber and penetrate the industrial park. So
that makes good sense.
Plenty of other opportunities, but we are indeed starting in urban areas, and in fact, we have a lot of software development we're doing still. So we're in pilot mode in Boston, and we're not expecting to expand to other cities for at least 2 years.
Questions that I might have as a customer would be, okay, I'm happy, I'm using Verizon, I have great security, I don't know how your security works. So how does your security work?
We're actually more secure than most ISPs. Because our network is inherently insecure. I mean, your signals may be relayed through other people's premises where they could do a man-in-the-middle attack. So from the very beginning, we committed to, we are going to provide, and we are now providing, your own VPN from the Ethernet jack where you plug in on the router in your building through the rest of the network to our backbone data center. So unlike other ISPs where you're just dependent on wherever the cable runs, in our case you've got a highly encrypted
and you'd have to
personal
potentially
VPN.
pay for a VPN service from someone else, and yours is included, is what you're
we
saying.
are, yes.
Yours is included, but I mean,
Yeah,
you'd have to
yeah.
pay for that kind of functionality with another carrier potentially.
Yeah, or buy equipment.
Right, or buy. Right.
We run it on the equipment that our customers buy and install on our behalf, and we run full VPN on that.
So
for
then
every
the other
customer.
concern I would have as a customer potentially, I would say, okay, well, what about the speed? This thing's going to be slow, and what do you do to make sure that that's not an issue?
We have a couple of different kinds of service. First off, I should say that a local head end has between 500 megabits and a gigabit of capacity, and we distribute that using, at a minimum, 100 megabit pipes point to point in multiple directions.
Okay.
And then we have two kinds of service, and the committed data rate services we do not oversubscribe. So our network is capable of delivering up to 90 megabits to any one point from this pool of up to a gigabit. But we're careful that if we sell committed data rate services, we sell them on links where we know we have enough capacity. We have a second class of service which includes the free service, which is shared, and that's kind of, people may commit for 10 or 20 megabits a second, but they're not using it all at any given time, so we resell that as the shared service, and those people get some minimum and as much extra as is available, which is usually quite a lot.
Okay. So, but as the network gets bigger in terms of having more
Yep.
customers, do you have a challenge of just not having as much excess?
We launch additional head ends.
Okay.
In fact, in one tall building in the Hancock Tower, we're thinking that we currently have a pilot network running there that we can actually use 2 different floors as 2 different head ends, because our links are short-range, directional, highly directional, point-to-point links. So if we have the 20th floor and the 50th floor, hey, those are 2 different head ends. So, but otherwise, we're looking for additional buildings. In Boston, there are about 120 buildings that have competitive fiber and low-cost backhaul. And then there's a potential to do high-capacity point-to-point links from those buildings to other places if they're neighborhoods we want to seed that we can't get to with fiber.
And so for companies that may say that, oh, well, I can just get around this challenge with LTE, the challenges with LTE are that eventually it will bog down in terms of the speed, and then number 2, the cost,
Yeah.
if you get over your
Yeah,
5
yeah.
megabit limit or
I mean,
whatever. You're gonna-
LTE is optimized for mobility, and that means basically that it's like an order of magnitude less capacity than a fixed thing that doesn't have to deal with mobility. So LTE is very fancy technology, but it's optimized for something else.
And you're currently in Boston, right?
We're currently just one pilot network in Boston's Back Bay with 14 businesses attached. So
Now,
we're
if somebody's
very early stage.
If somebody's interested in bringing this to another city, New York or Hong Kong, they can contact you?
They can certainly contact us. Realistically, it's probably 2 years before we're ready to branch out in other cities, but we are getting contacts like that right now.
Okay. Well, the more contacts you get, the more
Absolutely.
potential there is for
Yep.
it to happen. Usually,
Yep.
when you do these things in scale, it makes more sense.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well, good luck. Great
Okay,
to see
thank
you again.
Okay.